Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Toysrus exclusive A-Force 6-pack SIF figure, which is the last of the bunch and one of the top 3 figures. It's a very solid figure. It's built on top of most of the Angela body, which is a really solid figure, so it's not really too surprising, but it is really darn good, and it's about time we got a classic-looking SIF. So it's a very good thing that we got it, and that it's a good one. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This figure stands just about 17.5 centimeters to the top of the head, which makes it about 6 3/4, pretty close to that. So it does have that extra size that we saw from the Angela body, and it's overall really, really well done. It does come with one accessory, which is just her sword. It's a fairly basic accessory, not much to look at, but it does have a red handle, so that's all right. Now the figure, luckily, or not luckily, it was well planned by Hasbro, is made out of a whole bunch of different molded parts, so there's not too much of an issue with paint. For instance, the legs and boots are actually separate molded parts, so there's no issue with any bleeding or anything like that. We do have some areas where we have to see some paint, and unfortunately it's not perfect. You can see some issues with the overlap of the tampography on top of the sculpt there. But it's not bad, it's okay. Then they did a really good job painting the details around the belt here on the skirt piece, and then all the line work on the chest. It's pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but it's definitely up there with being one of the better painted figures that we've seen from Hasbro lately. And then we have more of the molded parts throughout the arms, very clean looking. It has a very saturated red, and then the whites are nice and clean. It's a really, really well put together, well composed figure. She has the same cape as Loki, only hers is done way better. So it's exactly the same sculpt, but the shading for the fur part is done perfectly. It's fantastic. Maybe it shouldn't have been blue, you could argue that, but I think the blue looks okay, so really no big deal there. Maybe gray would have looked okay. I don't know, maybe it's drawn with blue. I don't know, you guys could tell me that, but either way it looks just fine. So let's go ahead and run through the rest of the figure. The head, I think, is pretty good. It looks like maybe there's too much face on her head, but I think it only looks like that because part of her head is actually cut out for her face armor thingy, her helmety thing, which is normally okay, but the way they did it, it definitely could be better. You can see some gapping and some glue and stuff, and it does look like it's actually inset to her face rather than on top of it. So that definitely could be better. Again, it is a separate piece, so there's no paint issue, but I don't know if that's a great trade-off. The paint on her face is done really nicely. I like it a whole bunch. And then the hair is sculpted well, so no problems there. The articulation for this figure, the head does never want to come off. It's just a ball peg, but I couldn't get it off for Angela either, so that's probably a good thing. Also, look at that. Look at that. No lollipop syndrome. Isn't that a wonderful thing? The neck actually meets the head where they're supposed to. And the head sits nicely on the figure. You still get a little bit of lean, which is enough. You can rotate it, and it'll look forward and back without looking like you broke the neck. So, very nicely done. For the shoulder, you get really solid range, a little bit better than horizontal. Full rotation, so that's good. This floating piece will be up above the joint. You have no bicep swivel until you get down here to the elbow, but it does work, and you get about 90 degrees out of that elbow hinge. Then for the wrist, we have a swivel, and then we have a vertical hinge. It's a little tricky to use, but it is in there, so that's a pretty good thing. Gripping hands on both sides, by the way. Different sculpts on both sides too, but they function pretty much all the same, so no big deal there. This one, I believe, yeah, this one's a horizontal hinge for the wrist, so one for each side. And then for the diaphragm joint, does it work? It goes pretty far back, pretty far forward, side to side, really no issues, full rotation, that's a good thing. Skirt is a nice and loose piece, so it's not going to get in the way at all. For the hips, they don't go too far out to the side. It's pretty limited. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see a little better. It's pretty limited, but it's going to be enough. I mean, you don't need her to do the splits unless you're a weirdo, so that should be just fine. Going forward, yeah, you can get the leg almost all the way out forward, so that's good. Thigh swivel is just fine. Double jointed knees, yep, no problem there. I have some weird markings on mine. That won't be for everybody though, so don't worry about that. They did put some paint on the shoes, so that's a good thing. And then they do go really far forward and almost all the way back, and we get an ankle rocker. So yeah, there's really not too much to complain about here other than that weird issue with her face helmet thingy. But other than that, it's a really, really solid figure. I like it a whole bunch, and I think you guys will too. So overall, I'm going to give the set a go ahead and buy rating. There are a couple of dud, or at least one dud, and then two that are just so-so. It's going to be subjective for those, but three of them are very solid. So I think you guys are going to like the set, and I recommend it. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and in the meantime, keep collecting.